A message from Virginia Department of Health. Not feeling well? Your symptoms may not be allergies or a cold. They may be an early sign of COVID-19. Go to vdh.virginia.gov and search by your zip code and find a COVID-19 testing site near you.
This is a Federal News Network podcast.
The Defense Department's Joint Artificial Intelligence Center is now in a new phase of existence. It's past its narrow so-called Pathfinder projects. Now it's focusing on bigger projects and how it can integrate AI throughout the department. Federal News Network's Scott Maucione spoke about the organization's first steps with Acting Deputy Director Jacqueline Tame.
Our lead department-wide efforts to adopt AI at scale, provide services to component partners that promote AI adoption, accelerate inherently joint AI capabilities, and create an AI-friendly ecosystem within the DoD. And so now that you have those, the buzzword bingo, I can go into kind of what that actually means in practice. In practice, what that means is we're prioritizing those projects, and by projects I mean capability development projects and non-capability, sort of some of those enabling services that we believe are going to have the biggest impact, the biggest scalability across the department. Some of those, as I mentioned previously, are sort of in that back office or business process transformation space. And let me just go into these a little bit more. We have within the JAIC several what are called mission initiatives. These are kind of, if you think about them in sort of industry terms, these are almost verticals, right? We have kind of joint logistics, and we have joint force protection, which is what's previously called threat reduction and protection. We have joint war fighting. We have business process transformation, right? So these are the types of mission initiatives or kind of verticals that we have. And what that means is that we're working sort of hand in hand with all of the components across the department, whether they be combatant commands or service elements or combat support agencies or OSD components that have kind of mission need and that are executing against the mission in that space.
And could you just give us an example of that? What does it look like in the real world?
We have had real interest in the last several months in particular from sort of the joint logistics enterprise. And these partners are just absolutely phenomenal, whether they be the Defense Logistics Agency or Transcom and the service components underneath Transcom, or our partners in the Office of the Secretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment that are sort of doing some of this work. And when we're working with those partners and we combine their sort of mission needs of like, how do you think about applying AI at scale to the joint logistics enterprise? How do you think about helping the joint logistics enterprise, move cargo, people, equipment, material, et cetera, most efficiently, or even just track it? That actually really beautifully marries with our business process transformation mission initiative, where you're sort of thinking about things and applying this technology to, areas traditionally thought of as kind of back office, but, admin, personnel, finance, contracts. And so when we're looking at, two big mission initiatives and areas like that, you can easily see, I think, kind of where the intersections of the biggest return on investment are going to be. And in really helpful ways, the technology is actually pretty mature in these areas where there's like an abundance of data, such as the joint logistics, domain, and there's an abundance of data in some of these back office areas. And so that's kind of one of the ways in which we're really mapping the landscape of DoD from a missions and mission needs perspective and targeting those areas where we think AI applications and helping to instantiate AI is going to scale the most quickly or the most robustly. That's one example.
I was thinking about the implementation aspect of this and the integration aspect of this. So I think I remember General Shanahan at some point saying that at some point they want AI to be something like electricity. You don't think about it. You just walk into a room, you flip on the switch, and it's there, right? How integrated is JAIC in DoD at this point? And I realize, this isn't, nothing's perfect at this point, but you're trying. Where have you gotten from the 2 years ago when you first started to now into being really infiltrating into these different parts of DoD?
I would say that we have made significant gains from where we were. There's still, a long, long way to go. The department's a huge place, and there are all kinds of components, but also sort of key processes that make the department go that we need to target and kind of be involved in to enable all the components that sort of play in that space. But some of the things that have really helped us kind of gain traction in this integration space are both internally focused and externally focused. And what I mean by that is things like our own kind of self-reflection that led to this kind of Jake 2.0 or Jake 2.x, as I sometimes call it, sort of really looking at ourselves and in the context of the needs of the department and how those are shifting, has helped us internally realign our own organization and our own sort of top technical talent against the biggest priorities. We've had an unbelievable amount of support, championship, advocacy, and help, frankly, from our congressional partners and from the National Security Commission on AI, which recently released its final report, just in terms of recognizing the necessity of that level of integration for the JAIC and doing things like advocating for a realignment of the JAIC director to report directly to the Deputy Secretary of Defense, which has just happened in the last NDAA, in terms of granting the JAIC its own acquisition authority, which has been huge and allows us to kind of really integrate at scale in terms of the AI acquisition as a service and data as a service and P&E as a service. It just really, really helps us kind of with those critical enablers. We've cultivated, I think, a really, really great relationship with a couple of those big DoD enterprises recently, to, joint logistics, as I mentioned, business process transformation, some of the kind of enabling services, but also with, components that are in and of themselves integrators, if you will, like the joint staff. We're doing a lot of work, with the joint staff and all the different services and components on JADC2, which helps a lot. And then we've instantiated the AI Executive Steering Group, which is a 3-star board that General Groen runs, to kind of ensure that the entirety of the department and all of the key components understand what we're trying to do, understand the offerings that we actually have, and are working with us. It's not like we're working for them. We all have to kind of work together to actually instantiate what we're trying to do here. And under that ESG, we have sort of committees and subcommittees that are focused on key areas. And I think that level of kind of, at the outset, policy-focused integration, but it's quickly expanding into both policy and operations and data and everything else that you can imagine, has been really great. And the other thing that I would highlight actually is the department recently not only moved, but kind of elevated in stature and in priority focus, the Office of the Chief Data Officer for the department. And so we're working really, really closely with Dave Spirk, who's the CDO, and his office, which in and of itself, I think, is really, really helpful for integration purposes.
Jacqueline Tame, Acting Deputy Director of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, speaking with Federal News Network's Scott Maucione. Check out Scott's story at federalnewsnetwork.com.
A message from Virginia Department of Health. Not feeling well? Your symptoms may not be allergies or a cold. They may be an early sign of COVID-19. Go to vdh.virginia.gov and search by your zip code and find a COVID-19 testing site near you.
Cox can help make your home smarter and your life easier. Now you can use your Contour voice remote to connect to your home life cameras so you can view them right on your TV screen using simple voice commands. That makes it easy to keep tabs on what's happening around your home right from your couch. Need to keep an eye on the kids when they're playing outside? Just say, "Show me my backyard camera" into your Cox voice remote and watch them while you're in the house. And if you're waiting for a delivery and want to make sure it's there on time, no problem. Just say, "Show me driveway camera" to check on it with your Home Life HD cameras on the TV screen while you go about your day. When you live in a home powered by Cox Internet, you can stay connected to what matters and let Cox take care of the rest. To learn more about all the benefits of your connected home, visit cox.com/thisishome today.